Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with the same module, that is a research skill, but with the new chapter, that is the chapter number 4, curriculum links. In the last class we have finished with the chapter number 3, that is what are the various components of the research skills, that is the research the components. And today I am going to continue with the same, that is the chapter number 4, that is the curriculum links. So let's start with the previous class session, what we have covered in the last class. So we have finished in the last to last class the third chapter, that is the research the component. What are the various components of this one? So these are the various stages of the research that is available. The first is the planning, that contains various tools or various skills for plan out the something or plan out the information, that is the stages, that is the skills required. The first one is the establish the topic. So these are the various, we can say, the skills required for getting the planning stage or for fulfilling the planning stage. Then identify the information sources, identify the audience and the presentation format, establish the evaluation criteria, review the process. These are the various skills that is occupied or that is carried out by the stages or that is carried out by the planning stage. The next is the information retrieval. So these are the three skills that is required for the information retrieval. One is the locate resources, then next is the collect resources, then next is the review process. That is the next part, that is the review the process, reviewing the process. The next is the information processing, that is the next third part, and in this these are the various skills like choose the relevant information, evaluate the information, organize and decode the information, make the connections and the inferences, create the product. So these are the various skill that is required by the or that is covered under the information processing. The next is the information sharing. That includes the present findings, demonstrate the appropriate audience behavior, that is what is the audience behavior or what is the appropriate audience behavior for sharing the information, that is the information sharing. The next is the review process, that is the review process for the information sharing, that is reviewing whether the content is correct or not. The next is the evaluation, so that is the last stage that contains the skills like evaluate the product, evaluate the research procedures and the skill, and next is the review process. So these are the various stages and these are the various skills that is required in these stages. So this is the figure that shows an overview of the research skill continuums. Then we have studied about one by one, that is what are the various stages that is covered by the or that is going to use within the research skills. One in the planning, the stage one is the planning, that is plan out what we are going to study, what we are going to plan, that is the planning. So this is the introductory level, this is the advanced level. So establish the topic, that is the first part, and this takes the part that the teacher develop with the student an understanding of the purpose of the research. That is what is the main purpose of the research, that is establishing the topic. Then teacher also determine the topic or provide the limited options. So these are the various content or the point that is carried out by the teacher or the teacher librarian directed, and this is the point that is directed by the student. So student establish the purpose for the research, student choose a specific topic, and student also clarify the topic by examining what they already know or consulting a variety of resources, that is what are the various resources that is used for examining or what is the main topic that is going to study. And student also develop the research question which focus on the new areas of the knowledge and the application, that is what are the various areas of the knowledge and the education, or what are the various areas of the education or knowledge and the application, that is the student directed, that is from the student point of view. The next is the identify the information sources, that is what are the various sources that is available. So identify what are the various sources, what are the various sources by which we can get the information, that is identify the information sources. Teacher can lead the classes in brainstorming, and teacher introduces format for the collecting the information. And this the students survey the information sources in the school and the community, and student also choose the format for collecting the information. In the same way, so these are the various format, these are the various points that is carried out with the different stages, with the different planning activities that is carried out within the curriculum activities of the content. And at last, for the planning stage, this is a review process. In this, the teacher record the research plan for the whole class, that is what is the plan out for the whole class, and the student also review the individual plan to search out the thing, to search out the planning to guide the research. And the teacher and the student reflect on the planning activities, noting the specific ideas for the improvement. And throughout this document, that is the planning phase, teacher refers to the teacher and the teacher librarian. Then next stage that we already discussed, that is the next part, that is after the planning there is the information retrieval. That is how to retrieve the information. In this various skills are required. That is the first one is the locate resources. That is how to locate the resources. That is the first skill that is developed. So teacher identifies the useful resources. That is what are the various useful resources that is carried out. That is the locate resources. Then students are taught to use the standard uh, location tools such as the card or the computer catalogs, encyclopedia and the magazine indexes. That is what are the various tools that is required by the resources, that is the locate resources. The next is teachers also guide the student in the use of the table of the content, indexes and the glossaries, that is the locate resources. Then students are helped with the terms or the keyword to be used for the processing. That is what are the various terms, what are the various keywords that is used for the processing, that is used for the various building blocks that is used in this one, that is locating the resources. Then from the student point of view, it is also used that the student also use the standard tools for locating the information. So what kind of information that is carried out by the student, that is a card or the computer catalog, encyclopedia indexes, magazine indexes, community resources or the computer databases. The next phase is the collect resources, that is how to collect the resources. So teacher also help the students in finding a variety of the appropriate and accessible print, non-print and community resources. So what are the various community resources, what are the various print resources, non-print resources and the community resources such as the books, magazines, film tapes, videotapes, interviews, etc. And from the student point of view, student also find a variety of appropriate print, non-print and the community resources that includes various material like yearbooks. So there are multiple material by which they can get the information, that is from the student point of view. And student also learn the routine from the teacher or from the school library, that is how to gain the resources, how to learn the resources from their school libraries. And teacher also shows the student how to use the audio visual equipment as necessary as required for the this one, for example the video cassettes, recorders, overhead projector, film strips, viewer, etc. Then teacher and the student review the material collected and make a preliminary list of resources. And at last there is a review process of the information retrieval, that is a review process, that is the compilation of the information retrieval, that is how to retrieve the information or whether the information that is retrieved is correct or not, that is a review process. The next is the stage number 3, that is the information processing, that is how to gain the information process. It is the information processing, that is the stage 3 that we have discussed, that is how to process the information, and these are the various skills that is required from the beginning to the end. That is the first is the choose the relevant information. So students must read, listen and view to gather the information to answer the research question. That is what are the various research question that is used. So choose the relevant information, that is one of the part of the information processing. The next is the so this is instruction is available or is provided in the appropriate strategies like what is the scheming, scanning, interpreting, QSR, TAQR, SQ3R. So these are the various level by which there is the information processing that is carried out. Then from the advanced level, this is student read, listen and view the gain pertinent information about the topic. That is what are the various topic by which we can gain the information. And next, student choose and use the strategies appropriate to the resources that are being used. The next is the evaluate the information, that is how to evaluate the information, that is the next part. So this is the next skill that is required. So teacher assist the students to differentiate between the fact and the fiction, that what is the main differentiation or what is the main difference between the fact and the fiction. Then student differentiate between the fact and the fiction, and fact and the opinion, fact and the theory. So there are various differences, that is how to evaluate the information and what is the main difference between the information, fact, fiction, idea, theory, that is what is the main part of this one. Then student or teacher also assists the student to consider the accuracy and the currency of the source, that what is the main accuracy, what is the main currency of the source that is available within the information. Then students determine accuracy, authority and the reliability of the sources, that is used for the recognizing the primary and the secondary sources. Then teachers also assist a student to recognize the adequacy of the information, that is whether the adequate information is available or not. Then student recognize the author's point of view, bias and underlying the assumptions of value, that is what are the various value that is carried out. Then next is organize and record the information, that is how to organize and how to record the information, that is the main part. So this is from the teacher point of view, that is how to understand, that is how to make the information processing. Then next is the make connection and the inferences, that is how to make the connection for the information processing, that is what are the various connections that is carried out for the processing of the information. So teacher also help the student to compare the various information from various sources. So they take one or more sources and compare one by one what are the various sources that is required by the student, that is carried out by the teacher to develop the resources. And teacher also help the student combine the information to answer the research question, that is what are the various research question by which the teacher is available to gain the answer. Then create the product, that is the next part. Then revise and the update. So after creating the product, there is the revise and the update. So if there is any changes in the product, that is carried out by the revise and the edit. And the teacher with the assistant of the teacher or the peers, so student with the assistant of the teacher or the peer review the information to delete the repetitive tasks. If there is any repetitive task, that should be deleted by the concerned teachers. And student also edit or rehearses the presentation with teachers and the peer assistants. Then from the student point of view, student re-examine the information for relevance to intended focus and the format. And student also edit with the peer assistant. So student also edit the information with the peer assistant. Then at last there is a review process. The teacher and the students reflect on the information processing activities, noting the specific ideas for the improvement. That is the review process. Then next is the student reflect on the information processing activities, noting the specific ideas for the transfer to other situations, that is what are the various situations by which the review process can be carried out. Then stage 4 is the information sharing. So after planning, information retrieval, information processing, the last or the fourth stage is the information sharing, that is how to share the information, that is the information sharing. That is the first part is the present the finding, that is how to present the findings. So student present the information to a partner or so small group within the school, that is present the finding. In the same way, student demonstrate the presentation skills with attention to format, purpose and the audience, that is the quality, layout, title, color, spacing, visibility, volume, clarity, that is how to present the various findings within the school. Then student also demonstrate the increased presentation skills for sharing the information, that is used to format, purpose and audience, also by including the pitch, enunciation, pace and handling of various questions. Then demonstrate the appropriate audience behavior, that is the next part. So student also demonstrate the appropriate social skills that is required, and also ask the appropriate question that is carried out by the teacher. And student also respond in the written form to the presenter, that is the next part of the teacher point of view. Then next is the review process of the stage number 4, that is the information sharing. So teacher and the student reflect on the sharing activities, noting the specific ideas for the improvement. That is what are the various ideas for the improvement, that is the next part, that is the review process. And from the student point of view, students reflect on sharing the activities, noting the specific ideas for transfer to the other situation, that is how to transfer the ideas to the other situation, that is carried out by the review process. Then at last there is a stage number 5, that is the evaluation, that is how to evaluate the content, or what are the various options or what are the various criteria by which we can evaluate the content, that is the evaluation. So first is the evaluate the product, that is the first skill. So teacher must use the pre-established, or we can say the predefined standard that is used for research stages, skills and the procedures. Then from the teacher point of view, that is the student point of view, teacher also uses a variety of evaluation criteria that is carried out by the teacher or the student for fulfilling the various stages, skills and the procedures. The next is evaluate the research procedures and the skills. So teacher assess the extent to which the resource plan was followed, that is evaluating the research procedures and the skills. Then review process, the class select one or two suggestions for the improvement to apply for the research activity, that is a review process. This is what we have covered in the last class and the last to last class. The next chapter is chapter number 4, that is a curriculum link, that I am going to start in the today's class. That is the main today's topic, that is a curriculum links. So this is the first question: is this chapter useful to me? That is the first question. Whether I am studying this chapter, this is useful to me or not. The teachers who use or who would like to know more about the research skills as an integral part of the most program of study should read this chapter. That is, this is the main chapter, that is a teacher who would like to know more about the research skill, that is who want to know more about the research skill as an integral part of the most program of study. That is this is the integral part for the most program of study. So this chapter is very relevant or very relevant chapter that is included in this one. What will I find in this chapter? A listing of some of the references to research skills found in the program of study at all grade levels. Now, there are many reference sources for the skill development in the research process in different program of study. So this says there are many these reference sources for the skill development that is used in the research process. So there are many reference types or resources that is used for the skill development in different programs of study. But only a few of these references are included here as an example. There are few references that is used for the example, but these references may be used by the schools as a starting point for developing their own research skill continuum. That is, these references are used by the schools, are used by the developing schools as a starting point, as a fixed point, as a first point that is carried out by the schools to develop their own research skills continuums. That is elementary programs of study. Next is the part. So the student will locate the information using the library skills to choose the appropriate resources for the skill. So student will locate the information, that is what is the information that is carried out, that is used to locate the information using the library skills to choose the appropriate resources for the skills. So student, this is the elementary program of study, that is the first part. The student will locate the information, that what kind of information is used using the library skills. There are various library skills that is used to locate the information to choose the appropriate resources for the research. That is, what are the various appropriate resources that is used for the research. The student will locate the information using the library resources. That is, what are the various library resources that is used to locate the appropriate information, to locate the appropriate resources for the research. Then next is organize the information on a topic using a simple outline, webbing, retrieval charts, etc. That means it's the responsibility of the student in the elementary program of study, that is how to represent that main topic into the variety of the charts, into simple outline method, into various boundary method. That is, organize the information on a topic using a simple outline, webbing, retrieval charts, etc. Then the student will also use in a final written product, apply the skills of revising and editing by considering the content, organization, vocabulary, sentence structure, and the mechanics of the writing. That is, what are the various content structure, what are the various revising techniques that is used for organization, vocabulary, sentence structure, and the mechanics of the writing. And the student will also use a computer database to collect and organize the information. So computer also, or the student also use a computer database. So database will be maintained in the computer, so it's the responsibility of the student to maintain or to use a complete database to collect and organize the information. In the social studies 1989, that is the elementary program of study, that is the previous, or we can say the elementary education that is carried out, that is the elementary program of study. And this, there is the social science 1989, and these are the 4 points that the student will take for the various resources for locate the information, to organize the information, to write the final product, that is a part of the elementary program of study. Then so sorry. Then in the Science 1984, the student will appreciate the importance of collecting and organizing the data. That is, he or she will appreciate that what are the various modes that is used, what is the various, we can say what is the main importance of collecting and organizing the information. That is, what is the main source by which we can collect and organize the data, that is collecting and organizing the data. Then compare the alternative energy sources, that is, compare what are the various sources, what are the various alternate energy sources that is used, that includes the solar, wind, and the nuclear energy. Gather organize and interpret data, and infer the effects to use or of use on the environment. That is, the computer or the student will compare what are the various alternative energy resources that is carried out by the student. That is carried out by the student. That includes the solar energy, that includes the wind energy, that includes the nuclear energy. That is, what are the various solar energy, what are the various energy resources or sources that is carried out. So it is also the responsibility of the student in the elementary form of education. Then next phase is the next program of study is the language art, that is the English. So under the development of starting of the time of printing since spring 1990, the proposed framework is a language learning model in which the student explore their ideas, construct their ideas, communicate their ideas. So the student will do these things, that is in the language art, that is they have to explore the ideas, they have to construct the ideas that is carried out, they have to communicate the ideas that is carried out by the communications method. So first is the explore, that is how to explore the content, that is how to make the content available, that is how to make the content available in the spring season, in the painting season, that is a language art, that is English. The next is the construct, that is how to construct the method that is carried out by the English mechanism, that is a language art. Then how to communicate, that is how to communicate with the various, or we can say how to communicate with the students, that is a communicate. These are the three learning outcomes, or these are the three learning models by which the student can gain the access, that is the learning arts, that is explore, then construct, and the communicates. So these are the various elementary program of study that is carried out. So one is the social studies, in which there are different ideas. Next is the science. Then next is the language arts. Now come to the main point, that is the maths. So in the maths, the student will identify the needed information. That is, what are the various information, what are the various required information that is carried out. That is the math. That is identify the needed information. Then identify the relationship, that is what is the main relationship between the various formulas, syntax, scenarios, that is identify the relationship. So first is the identify the needed information, then next is the identify the relationship, then next is the ask the question. So these are the three parts by which the student should carry out the math activities. One is identify the needed information, then identify the relationship, then ask the questions. So this is the elementary program of study that is carried out by the every student, whether it may be a senior student, whether it may be a secondary class, it may be a primary class, any student can take these resources, that is the elementary program of study. So that contains various parts. Now next is the junior higher program of study. In the junior level, what are the various higher program of study that is used? First is the language arts, that is in the 1987. So what are the main role of the student? The student will locate, select, and evaluate the information that forms are important life skills. So that means how to locate, select, and evaluate the information. So first of all, locate the information, then select the information, then evaluate the information whether the information is correct or not, are important life skills. Then listening is an active process. This is one of the important point. Listening is an active process means listening is an ongoing process that involves constructing the meaning. That means whenever we listen something, that is an active process. There is a difference between the hearing and the listening. Hearing means when we hear something, listening means when we listen something. So hearing is simply getting the information by our ears, that is a hearing, and listening means first of all, hear the information, then provide or implement the various concepts and implement the various rules that is carried out by the listening. So listening is an active process and hearing is an passive process. So first of all, the hearing comes, then the listening comes. So there is a difference between the hearing and the listening. So listening means we can say focus on the content, focus on the words, focus on the subject matter that is carried out. That is a listening. So it's an active process. So first part is the student will locate, select, and evaluate the information as an important part of the life skills. That is the main part. Language art, that is how they communicate with each other. Then listening is an active process that involves constructing meaning. That is how to construct the various meaning data or data of the meaning. That is the listening. Then next, visual communications processes distinctive elements and structures which may affect the meaning. That is which may affect the meaning, that what is the main meaning that is carried out by the content, that is visual communications. Then effective editing involves revision for the purpose of evaluating the idea. That is, what are the various ideas by which the evaluation comes? That is the evaluating the idea. That is the effective editing method. So effective editing. So if there is a effective editing that takes place, that involves a revision for the purpose of evaluating the ideas. That is a new concept will be added. There will be a revised concept that will be carried out for the revision for the purpose of evaluating the ideas. That is how to evaluate the ideas and how to further shaping the composition. That is how to provide the shape to the composition. That is a statement of the content. That is a process skills. So this also comes under the language arts or the junior high program study. That is effective editing. The next, at last, the student should be able to evaluate the contribution to the group process. The student must be able or should be able to evaluate what is the main contribution to the group process. That is, what is the main contribution that is given to the group process. That is, student must be able to evaluate the content. Then after the language skill, there is social studies. That is a 1989. That is also covered under the junior high program of study. That is social studies 1989. The student will be able to do the following. So student will be able to do the following. What are the various content that is used in the social science 1989, social studies 1989. The first is observe the qualities of the group discussion. That is, what are the various qualities means, what are the various forms, what are the various outcomes of the group discussion that contribute to the skill. That includes the participation skill. That is one of the important part that is included in the GD also. That is a group discussion. That is how the student will participate in the content. That is the participation skill. So observe the courtesies of the group discussion, that is contribute to the group, that is the participation skills. The next is acquire the information to find the answer to the question. So acquire the information, gain the information to find the answer to the question through the listening. That means gaining the information or getting the information to find out the answer to a question. That is, what are the various questions and what are their answers to the proper listening. That is also the information gathering. That is, acquire the information to find the answers to the questions to the through the effective listening. Through the effective listening, as well as observing, reading, and utilizing the community resources. That is how to listen, how to observe, how to read, and how to utilize the community resources that is carried out. That is acquiring the information to find the answers to the various questions. That is known as the process skills. That is how to process the information. That is, what are the various skills that is required to process the information. That is the process skills. The next is identify and define the topic. That is, what are the various topics that is defined by the social studies. That is, identify and define the topic, and identify possible sources and location of the information. That is, identify and define what is the main topic, identify what are the various possible sources and what are the various location of the information that is carried out. That is also includes the process skills. That means first is only the participation skill, and after this there are the process skill. That is, what are the various skills that is used to process the information. That is the process skills. So identify and define the topic, identify the possible resources or sources. So what are the main topic and what are the various possible sources and what is the location of the information. That is the process skills. Then compare the information about a topic drawn from two or more sources. That is, compare two or more information. Compare the information about a topic drawn from two or more sources. Categorize the information to develop the concept. That is, categorize the information. What are the various concepts? What are the various information? Develop the concepts. That is the process skills. That is the social studies. So these are the four parts, in which there are three parts of the process skill, and the first part is the participation skills. The next activity is the next junior higher program studies is the grade 7 science. So an overall study of the decision making includes the skills of researching the perspective, that is how to research the perspectives, organize and process the information, and evaluating. So first is what are the various skills to research the perspective, what are the various skills to organize and process the information, that is how to organize and how to process the information, and how to evaluate the information. So there are various strategies, there are various terms that is carried out. That is an overall strategy that is carried out for the various decision making process, that includes the research activity, organizing and processing the information, and how to evaluate the content. That is a grade 7 science activity, that is the part of the junior higher program of the study. This is the grade 7 science 1989, and next is the senior higher program of study. So there are this is the third category. The first category is the elementary program of study, the next is the junior higher program of study, and next is the senior higher program of study, that includes again the language arts, home economics, science, arts. So these are the various categories by which we can differentiate the various elementary education, various education part that is covered in this one, that is Alberta program of study. These are the various studies part that is also carried out in this one. So next is the senior higher program of study. So next is the senior higher program of study, that is what are the various options, what are the various tools that is covered in the higher program or senior higher program of study. So first is the language arts in 1982, that is what are the various language art that is used in the 1982, that is the language arts 1982. The first part is locating, selecting and evaluating with written materials frequently required to fulfill one's purpose in reading are the most important life skill. That is how to locate the information, how to search the select the information, and how to evaluate the written material. That is what are the various written material that is used for the locating, selecting and evaluating the content that is used, that is frequently used to fulfill one's purpose, to use the purpose in reading are the most important life skills. Then the next part is the listening is an active, not a passive process. The same line that we have studied in the elementary form of education, that is listening is an active process. That means we focus on the content what we listen. It's not an active process, that is the hearing is an active process. We can simply hear passing the content from one ear to the another ear. That is not possible in the listening process. Listening is an active process, not a passive process. Not to pass the process, not to pass the information, but it's an active process. We have to act on the content, we have to act on the various skills. That is an active process. So listening is an active process. Then the next point says an effective reader is able to select and use a variety of reading strategies. That is what are the various reading strategies. So first of all, he or she have to select, that is what are the various content, that is what are the various reading strategies that is used, and how to select and how to use a variety of reading strategies that is appropriate to the process, that is the language arts. Then the next part is the effective revision. So there must be effective revision that must include careful evaluation of the ideas and the further sharpening or shaping of the composition. That is, there should be or there must be a proper or careful evaluation of the ideas. So how we can evaluate our ideas, that is the evaluation of the ideas, and a further shaping of the composition that is carried out, that is the effective revision that involves the careful evaluation, that is how to evaluate the content or what are the various possible outcome that is carried out within the senior higher program of study. So this is the third category. The first category is the first category is the elementary education. The next category is the junior high program of study. The third category is the senior high program of study, and the first part is the language arts that includes these 4 points, that is the listening, selecting and evaluating. Then listening is an active process, not an passive process. Then effective reader is able to select and use a variety of reading strategies that is carried out within the appropriate behavior that is appropriate to the process. Then effective revision that involves the careful evaluation, that is how to evaluate the content, that is a careful evaluation of the content, that includes various ideas and the further shaping of the composition. That is the first part. This is the first part. Language arts is the first part of the senior higher program of study. The next part is home economics. Economics is a concept that is related to the financial terms, that is the home economics 1983. The students will develop the skills and the techniques in the personal decision making and the interpersonal relationship. That is, the student will develop what are the various skills that is required, what are the various techniques that is required in the personal direction or personal decision making and the interpersonal relationship. That is how to develop the skills and how to make the skills available. That is, a student will develop the skills and the techniques in the personal decision making and the interpersonal relationship. That is the home economics 1983. So student will develop the skills and the technique that is used in this is the next part is the home economics, that is how to present the or how what is the main economic subject, that is the home economics subject. So student will develop the skills and the techniques in the personal decision making and the interpersonal relationship. So student will develop what are the various skills or student will develop their skills and the techniques in the personal decision making, that is what are the various skills that is required for the personal decision making and the interpersonal relationship. That is how to make the personal decisions and how to make the interpersonal relationship or how to establish the interpersonal relationship among each other. That is home economics, that is covered under the senior higher program of study, that is a part of the 11th 12th class 11 12th. The next is the science 1984. This includes the questioning, for proposing ideas, gathering data, processing information, and interpreting information are all components of the process skill. That is the science 1984. That is a part of the 1984. That is a part of the 1984 content. That is a questioning, proposing ideas, relating ideas. That is also a part of the science 84. That is a part of the senior higher education higher program of study. The next is, so this is a part of the process skill, that is a framework. And the next part is the student will be expected to demonstrate an ability to classify existing information by examining the various parts and relationship and to identify and differentiate the component, attribute, claims, assumptions or the reasons. So student will be expected to demonstrate an ability, that is how to make the content available, that is an ability to make the content. So student will be expected to demonstrate an ability to classify the existing information, that is what is the existing information that is carried out. It is existing information by examining the various parts in the information content that is used in examining the areas and to identify the various components, attributes, and how these parts are identified by interpreting the data or the information. That is how to interpret the data or what are the various data that can be interpreted or information. Then interpret means analyze, judging the reliability and the validity of the data. That is judging means whether the content is available correct or not. That is a judging or verifying the reliability, whether the data is reliable or not, or the validity of the content or the validity of the form that will be carried out. So either we can rely the data, either we can judge the reliability or the validity of the data or the information. The next is the identifying the errors. That is the next part, that is identify the error. That is what are the various error that is included, that is also used to find out the relationship, used to find out the various components, attributes, assumptions or the reasons. Then differentiate or distinguish between the facts and the values, and relevant and the irrelevant information. That is what are the various relevant information, what are the various irrelevant information. So this is also a part of the or this is also one of the category or one of the criteria by which we can differentiate the various components, attributes, claims, assumptions or the reasons. Then identifying the main idea, that is what is the main idea by which we can gain the information, that is identifying the main ideas. Then identifying the attributes and the component, that is what are the various attributes and what are the various component that is carried out for the science 1984. That is identifying the attributes and the component, what are the various attributes, that is what are the various features, what are the various components of the science 1984. Then identifying the relationships and the pattern, that is what is the main relationship between the or what is the main relationship that is carried out, what is the main pattern, that is identifying the relationship and the patterns. Then identifying the perspective, that is the next part, that is the H part, that is identify the perspectives, what are the various perspective levels by which the science 1984 can be used, that is identifying the perspective. Then last part is detecting the bias and the inconsistency in a line of reasoning, that is what is the main what is the main crux of the biasness and what is the main inconsistency in the line of the reasoning. That is a science 1984. So student will be expected to demonstrate an ability to classify what are the various content by which we can gather the information, by which we can involve the information, by either we can interpret the information data, judging the reliability, identifying the errors, differentiate between the facts and the values, identifying the main ideas, attributes, perspective, biasness, inconsistency in a line of the reasoning. The next is the Art 87, that is also a part of the senior high program of study. In this, the student will analyze the personal response to the visual imagery. That is, student will analyze what are the various personal responses that is carried out to the visual imagery. That is Art 1987. So this is the Alberta Education Program of Study. This is the, we can say, the analysis of the Alberta Education Program of Study. This is the first part, that is the first element, first column, that is the focus on the research, that is what are the various stages. Then social studies, science, mathematical, language art. This means SST, science, mathematics and the English, that is the language art. So stage 1 is the planning, that is how to plan something, that is the planning part. In the social science, it says understand the question problem, develop the research question and the procedure. So this is the part of the stage 1, that is the planning. So in the SST part, that is social studies part, so in the planning, the student will understand the question or the problem, that is what is the main question or what is the main problem, and how to develop the research questions and the procedure, that is what is the procedure that is followed to research the question, that is developing the research questions and procedures. So stage 1 planning, that includes in the social study, that is understanding the question or the problem and developing the research question and the procedure. In the science, in the planning part, that is used to identify the issue. So first plan, in the planning part, there is a first part, that is of the science part, that is identify the issue, identify the alternatives. So first of all, identify what is the main issue, then identify what are the various alternatives that is carried out, that is in the science part. And then in the mathematics, understand the problem. So in the stage of planning, there are multiple criteria by which we can differentiate between the various subjects, between the various program of study education. So first is the social science, that is used to understand the problem, developing the research criteria, questions and the procedures. Then in the science, identifying the issues, identify the alternatives. Then in mathematics, identify or understand the problem, that is what is the main problem. Then in the stage 2, information retrieval, that is how to retrieve the information, that is the stage 2. In the social science, it is used to gather and organize the information, that is what is the main information that is carried out. So how to gather and how to organize the information, that is the stage 2, that is the information retrieval part. Then in the science, there is only the research part. So in the social science, how to gather and how to organize the information, and in the science part, how to research the information, that is a stage 2, that is the information retrieval. Then in the stage 3, that is in the information processing, in the social science, it is used to interpret the information, that is how to interpret the information in various forms, then how to develop a conclusion or solution, that is the second part. So first part is interpreting the information, that is how to interpret the information, then develop a conclusion or the solution, that is how to develop the solution or how to develop a conclusion or the solution, that is the next part. The next is synthesize the data, that is how to synthesize the data that is carried out, that is the information processing. Then the last is also over, that is synthesize the information, that is how to make the information compatible, that is a synthesize the information. So first is interpret the information, second is develop a conclusion or the solution, next is synthesize the data. And in the science, this comes under the reflect and the decide, that is how to reflect and how to decide the content, that is the information processing. So first of all, reflect and decide what is the main content, so that is the reflect and the decide. And in mathematics, it is used to develop a plan. So that is the third part, that is information processing. So in the mathematics, it is used to develop a plan. Then next is the stage number 4, that is the information sharing. So in this is a communicate effectively. So that is the next part. In the social science, it is used, that is a communicate effectively. That is how to communicate effectively, that is a part of the social studies. Then in the science, it is what is an action taken for the information sharing, that is a take action. Then in the mathematics, it is carried out the plan, that is what is the plan that is carried out, that is a carried out the plan. Then next part is the stage number 5, that is the evaluation. That means that includes the evaluate the decision, that is what is the main decision, and how to evaluate the decision, or what are the various we can say the criteria by which we can evaluate the decisions and the process. That is the stage number 5. So in the social studies, it is used to evaluate the decision and the process. And the next is the science, that contains the evaluate, that is how to evaluate the information that is in the science, and in the mathematics it is used to look back. So these are the various stages by which there are different program of study that is carried out, that is known as the Alberta Education Program of Study. So there are different stages, there are different subjects. Each subject carry out the one task, that is in the planning there is a different task for the social science. In the information retrieval there is a different task for the different subject. Now relating research skill to the 4 academic curriculum include this one, this one, this one. Now next chapter is chapter number 5, that is the before the research. So we are finished with the chapter number 4, that is what are the various curriculum links that is carried out between various program of study, that is divided into 3 parts. One is the junior level, one is the senior level, one is the elementary program of study. So let's take a break right now, then move to chapter number 5, that is the before the research. What is the teacher preparation before the making the research? Let's take a break, then move to chapter number 5. So come back from the break. Now let's start the session again. Next part is, oh sorry, next chapter is the chapter number 5, that is the before the research. That is before the research, what is the teacher preparation, what is the preparation of the teacher, that is the teacher preparation, that is before the research. Now this is the first question, is this chapter useful to me? Yes. Teachers who are inexperienced in integrating the research activity into their curriculum will find this chapter useful in their planning. That this chapter is related to the planning. Teachers who are inexperienced, I'm not saying they are not efficient. They are efficient, but they are inefficient in, or they are inexperienced in integrating the various research activities into their curriculum, and that activities will be provided by the teachers, or that activities will be explained by the teachers in this chapter. So this chapter is very relevant to the teacher point of view who are inexperienced in the content, who are inexperienced in the detailed category of the content, right? So let's start with this chapter. Now next question is, what will I find in this chapter? That is, what is the main crux of this chapter? What will I find in this chapter? In this chapter we are going to study about how to plan a research activity. That is the planning part, that is how to plan a research activity, which activity can be taken to form a part of the research activity. So next is the guidelines and the considerations for a research activity. That is, what are the various guidelines, what are the various research activities that is going to take in this chapter. So what will I find in this chapter? That is how to plan a research activity, how to, or what are the various guidelines and the consideration for a research activity, and a sample research activity unit plan. This is one of the important part. That is, in this chapter we are also going to study a sample research activity plan or activity unit plan. That is a research activity unit plan, that is a sample plan, that is how to make the research activity, that is a sample of the research activity. This is one of the example of the sample. This is taken by the student, that is a sample. So this is the sample that is taken by the student to carry out the task. What is the main crux of this one? This the sample is taken out from the census. Now the next part is, or next quote is given by the Ken Haycock, that says planning is a way of caring because it minimizes the risk. Because when we plan something with the proper manner, with the proper care, so it minimizes the risk in the future. If there is no planning, and if I simply put the content, if I simply put the starting of the content, starting of the course, that will maximize the risk, so there will be a more risk that is involved. So planning is simply a way of the caring, it minimizes the risk, that is the planning. So how do we link the pieces of the research skills puzzle together? So how we link the various processes, various pieces of the information, various pieces of the research skills. The careful planning and the judicious use of some key concepts, suggestions and forms will bring the puzzle closer to the competition. So there is a careful planning and there is a judicious use of the key concepts. So the careful planning and the use of the key concepts, suggestions and the forms. So that is, what are the various suggestions and what are the various forms that will bring this puzzle closer to the competition, that it will make the competition closer. That is, a careful planning has been taken out for the key concepts, for the suggestions and the forms that will bring the key puzzle, that will bring the content that will be used in the puzzle areas. So the first quote that is given is, the planning is a way of caring because it minimizes the risk. And how do we link the pieces of the research skill? By using the careful planning. So before making the research skill efficient, or before making the research skill puzzle, so there should be a proper planning, there should be a proper planning and using the key concepts, suggestions and the forms that will bring the puzzle closer to the completion. So that is the planning. And many teachers use the TRM, that is the teacher resource manual, that is the TRMs. For example, the contain the suggestions that contains with the stages of the research. So there are various suggestions that will be available with the various stages of the research, that is known as the TRM, that is the teacher resource manuals. And this chapter presents the ideas for planning the research, that is how to plan out the research, or what are the various content by which we can plan out the research, and how to make the sampling of the curriculum based suggestions, that is suggestions that will help you put the theory into the practice. That is the various suggestions that is available in this chapter. So many TRMs are also available for the teacher, that is the teacher reference manual, that contains the information, suggestions that will use with the various stages of the research. And integrating research into the curriculum is evolutionary. So when we present our data, when we present our research, or when we integrate our research into the curriculum, into the live scenarios curriculum, that is also evolutionary. For teachers who are new to integrating the research activities, it begins slowly. So when the teachers who are new to the beginning of the research activity, that begins the slowly contains, as teachers and the student experience the positive development in teaching methods and the skills, their commitment to integrating research skills will increase. So whenever we integrate the research into the curriculum, that is very evolutionary. And for the teachers who are new to integrating the research activities, it begins the slowly. That means it begins slowly. That is the teachers who are new to the integrating the research activities. As teachers and the students, uh, what's your query, Larry? You have to learn, so you want make a short trip. Okay, okay, it's okay. So you can go. I will stop this class over here only. All right. So shall I stop the class? Okay, all right, Larry. We will continue tomorrow. So this class I'm going to stop over here only with this paragraph, that includes that for the teachers who are new to the integrating research activities, that begins slowly, and the teacher and the student will experience the positive development in teaching methods. Okay, thanks a lot, Larry. This is my one of the main aim. So learn the students. So teacher and the student will experience the positive development in teaching method and the skill. Their commitment to integrating research will be increased. Simple, when we want to increase something, there should be a proper planning. So we have studied that the planning is one of the main category of this one. And in the tomorrow's class, we are going to take a cooperative planning. That what is the main cooperative planning? So okay, we will see that if the time is increased for the 5 reports, not an issue. We will increase that time. All right. Okay. Well.